Hi everybody, just wanted to hop on and do some scrapbooking with you all. So I don't know what I'm doing yet. All I know is that I will be using these absolutely stunning meant to be papers, my meant to be stamp set and my meant to be die cutting set. So I thought I'd just show you my creative process and we'll see what we can come up with together. So I have a lot of scraps here, which is what I'm kind of hoping to use with this video, is rather than cut into too many new pieces of paper, I want to use up some of what I already have. So it's a really lovely set, this one. I bought the scrapbooking sticker sheet, the pattern paper, the matching coloured paper pack with the two-tone cardstock, and I then also bought the die cuts, which are in here, and the stamp set, which is here. So stamp and die set can make these really cute bees, which I'm absolutely in love with. I've made quite a few of these already, so probably try and incorporate those into whatever layout I can come up with. I will probably be also using the meant to be stamps because they are a scrapbooking stamp set and they come with 3 sentiments that can be used on a scrapbooking layout. So I'm not sure which one I'll use yet, but I've got those in there. I am probably going to use the hexagonal die cuts for this. I like the fact they come in different sizes. So you've got 5 different sizes of die cut in this set. I've only used the small size so far, but I think for something like scrapbooking, if I just pull over our 12 by 12 piece of paper, this is a really decent size and you could probably use this to sort of frame an image. So I was to put it on there. You can see it's taking up a really decent space on the page. It's not quite a quarter, but if you put things around it, that's a quarter of a page filled, and you could sort of have the bee poking out. So yeah, definitely going to use those. So I'll probably take out the big one, the second biggest one, because they sit really nicely inside each other, so I thought that might go quite nicely. And I'm going to put these to the side for now because I don't know which other ones I will want to use. So that's those and our stamp set. So now I just need to go through all of this paper that I've got stacked up, work out what colours, what I want to use where. I really like the fact that the Stampin' Up sets come in such a way that the coordinating two-tone cardstock picks out the colours used in the pattern paper. So if we look at this piece, for example, we've got the pale pink, which is Bubble Bath, and you've then got the darker pink, which is the Petunia Pop. So the two go together really nicely. The bee's wings are with Pool Party colour, which is one of my favourite Stampin' Up colours. And here's a piece of the two-tone cardstock. So it's slightly darker on one side, but you can see it just means it goes together really nicely, no matter how you combine the various colours. So I have decided I'm going to use a Bubble Bath base, 12 by 12 base. I'm honestly not sure what I want to do yet. I do have quite a large piece of Petunia Pop here, which doesn't look like it's been cut down lengthways, so possibly could go across like that. That would probably split my page in 2 quite a bit. But then if I was to do some of the hexagons on that, I think that could look really cute. Maybe a smaller one in the middle. I have also got some outlines from when I first used the set, and I used the smallest hexagon. So I'm not sure if I'll use this on those on this layout, but I've got quite a few of those in different colours, solid colours, patterned paper, various. Got a nice strip here from one of the pattern papers. It's the flowery and stripy one. But again, rather than using the big block, I could split my page in half with that, or I could use them both. That's definitely an option. So I'm going to put that there for now. I've done some circles. I'm not sure how I feel about that one, but I'll put it aside. So there's quite a bit in this pile from where I've already used this kit a few times. You do get a lot out of the 12 by 12 paper sets. You can really stretch them, really make them last a while, particularly if you're doing some card making as well. But even if you are just doing scrapbooking, you can do so many things with just some 12 by 12 cardstock, and it's only when you really start to play around that you start to realise just how much you can do. So still finding more of these hexagons all over the place. I do have some little bits of pattern paper which I'm not sure they will necessarily work on a scrapbooking layout, but hopefully I can use those for some card making another time. On one of the cards I designed, I cut my hexagon in half, so I also have some half hexagon pieces, which again, rather than cut into those, I might find those quite useful to use for something else. So I might just keep those as they are for now. Another bee. So yeah, I just have absolutely loads here, really. Another hexagon. And I think sometimes it's really nice when you have some scraps to play around. There's something a bit intimidating about a piece of paper that hasn't been cut into yet. And you kind of think, oh, well, I don't want to ruin it. If I cut it there, I might end up with pieces that I'm not sure what to do with. And it can feel a bit frightening, to be honest. So being creative with pieces that I've already chopped up for various projects, it just feels a little bit easier knowing where to start and sort of saying, I'll put that there, I'll try that there, because I have so many chopped up pieces here. I've got like tiny circles where I've die cut circles and just cut out one bee. I've got little squares which I used in a previous scrapbooking project. Now something like this is quite a nice size because it looks a little bit bigger than a 6x4 photograph, so it'll be really nice to have a sort of an underneath piece to mount a photograph on. So I'm going to stick that there for now. Got some other bigger pieces of cardstock. That looks like a pretty perfect square. So I'm just going to stack my solid cardstock in one pile. Again, another big piece of Petunia pot, but I'm not sure I'm going to use that on this layout because it's just a bit big with this backing piece I've already put down. Two more squares of cut pattern paper, but again, really nice. If you had a smaller photo and wanted to have a background, flowers would be really nice, stripes really nice. You know, there's nothing to say that you can't have your stripes going in both directions on one layout. And then I have some much bigger pieces of pattern paper here where I've just trimmed off a little bit. But again, I might look to incorporate those, and these love hearts are really, really cute. Some honey. That's the other side of this one, the jars of honey. And then I think this might be my favourite. I mean, I love the sheets that have got the bees on, but I love this check. And this, again, I think I ended up cutting down to a perfect square, and I think I might end up using that on another layout. It kind of reminds me of a picnic blanket, but I love the colour, and yeah, it's probably my favourite aside from the sheets with the actual bumblebees on themselves. So I have a pile of solid cardstock scraps, a pile of patterned paper scraps, my hexagonal frames from previous projects that I've done, and a stack of bees here that I've made over time. Yeah. So some people, when they scrapbook, they like to choose which photos they're going to use first. I tend to do things the other way around, and that's because I don't take enough photos. So I will look at my stash, look at what I've got, and then say, okay, I want to make this layout. I will then look through the photos I have printed and work out what fits where. I do really want to make sure I get this hexagon in here somewhere because it's designed to be the beehive. So I do really want to use that somewhere. I might swap out this square for the hexagon. Probably going to use, because I'm going to use one of the stamp set sentiments, these fit really nicely into the small hexagon. So I know that there's going to be another one on here, but the question is where am I sticking it? And also, you know, which way round do I want this photo at the bottom to be? Do I want it to be that way or that way? Do I want the hexagon to come out from underneath to sort of only have part of it showing? So there's so many options, and it's so nice to just let yourself sit back and think about it sometimes and not feel that you're copying what somebody else has done. I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with copying. It's not copying in a lot of cases. It's taking inspiration from other crafters, which can be great if you're feeling a bit stuck, not sure where to start, or if you're a beginner. You know, it isn't something I would say to people not to do. It can be a really great way to sort of kickstart yourself into creativity if you're a little bit unsure where you're going with a project. But it is just really nice to let yourself loose, so to speak, and come up with your own projects. I definitely want to get some of this pool party in here. Sort of lining up these hexagons at the bottom, I actually quite like how that's come together, which I haven't thought, oh, let's put those there. I've kind of thought, well, what happens if I combine all of these together? So I like having 3 there. I would probably want this to be a little bit higher, I think, so that it sits over these stripes as well. So that could go there. Because I've now got my hexagons here, I kind of feel that I want this hexagon to be opposite. So looking at the space I have left on this project, I think it's probably going to be one that holds 3 photos. I'm going to have a photo here, a photo that I will cut out using the dies so that it sits on a hexagon. I'll probably use the second from biggest one to cut my photo, the biggest one to be like a background essentially. So I'm just going to put those there. So that leaves us this square at the top here. I think it's going to be for another photo. The question is, what kind of backing do I want to use? So maybe I will bring the stripes back in. Maybe I will. So you can see there, I've been doing this for less than 15 minutes, and already I have a really good idea of a layout that I want to use. So it's just a question of choosing a background for that large hexagon now, which I don't want to go with something too detailed. So if I went for something like the honey with a really big pattern, that's not going to show through between the photo with the smaller hexagon and the large hexagon. It's just, it won't show through. So something a bit smaller, like the green, or like these love hearts, would work really, really well. Although I do want to get a bit more blue in there. I really, really do. I'm just looking through my scraps to see what I've got that I could cut into. And it might even be that I try and use some of my solid pool party, because there is going to be quite a lot going on in this layout once I've added 3 photographs. So I don't necessarily have to use another piece of pattern paper. The other thing to mention is this cardstock is 2-tone. So I've got 2 tones of the same colour. So this is Petunia Pop and the darker one is what I've used there. But if I flip it over, it coordinates really well with what's already on the page. So I might do that as my sort of hexagon colour. So I'm going to go away, I'm going to do some die cutting, I'm going to get my photos, I'm going to assemble this, and I'll be back soon.